Hey guys, how's everyone? So I feel cool to do this reading. Who are you in your past lives? Because usually whoever we are in our past lives, we try to carry it like karmic depths, karma wise, habits, attitudes. So maybe it's going to enlighten you if you are someone in search of answers about yourself. Maybe your past life could be like one kind of enlightenment, like if you are someone trying to find who you are, like let's just see. So pick a pile or two piles, or stick to one, or listen to everything. But I just really feel cool to do this reading, and I already asked the intention from spirit guides and universe, and I am 100. So let's just jump into your reading. Usually I would be doing my own litany and calling spirit guides, but I have been speaking to spirit guides and universe and God up above since just few seconds ago, and they know my intention on this reading, that I wanted to understand who are you in your past lives, or who are we in our past lives. Pile 1, Lily. Pile 2, Tree. Pile 3, Moon. Okay, so I'm going to set aside pile Moon and pile 3. I'm going to start with you, pile Lily. And there's a message in here: a coach, patron, or matron, passionate, sex, power relationship. So someone of authority. But let's see, who are you in your past life? Possibilities. Maybe you have medium hair, white gray hair. There's feminine energy here, so maybe you are someone who is female in your past life, someone with green eyes, medium hair, white gray hair, and green eyes, and straight hair. Wow, a lot of feminine energy in your pile Lily. Pile 1, you might have green eyes in your past, and someone with straight hair, medium hair, and blonde hair or gray hair. So these are the possibilities right now. It's just going to be a quick reading, and I wanted to know, who are you in your past lives? There's a message in here. You could have been a mother, and age of enlightenment. Ooh, you could have been poisoned in your past, so be careful what you are eating in your body right now. Toxic chemicals, whatever. Polygamous, polyamorous love. So you're pretty much open and kind of freaky in your past lives. You went through trauma and war. And there's a message here of location: Antarctica, Arctic. Wow, it's a cold region. So maybe in your past lives you are someone who witnessed the war. What I could understand here, there's like winter, very cold environment, winter time, and like the possibility that in your past lives you've been poisoned, or you ate something really bad. So be careful. Let's see, there's a message here: self-love, old age, stars, psychic wounding, celestial, true love. But I could pick up on your pile 1, like you are someone who's a believer in love. You could have been a star seed, because it's saying in here location stars, and you could have been an old soul. There's a few more, and like a widower, a wife. Well, that kind of makes sense because there's a lot of feminine energy. I think you might have been really wanting to attract love in your life, even in your past lives. But it's saying in here Middle East, childbirth, death, walking the middle path. This is really interesting right now. Late modern age. But okay, so what about here? Yeah, you could have been a star seed, a light worker, could be an empath as well. And there's a message in here that in your many past lives, you could have been a father as well. See, I tell you, you are someone who has suffered loss, love. But it keeps saying in here, fate, secret. I think you're trying to find fate again in love, or I think you could be someone really spiritual too, because I could pick up in your pilot, you could have been a star seed, or someone who's highly spiritual. So let's see, Earth. I think you are really intuitive, because in all your piles there's a lot of eyes here. But young female, yeah, early Bronze Age, self-identity, non-contagious illness, Mexico. But there's location here: Mexico, Middle East, Antarctica, the Arctic regions. And what is it saying in here? Monotheistic, unrequited love, lost love. I can see that you really have some kind of karmic debt of lost love. You might have been carrying that over in this lifetime, trying to find love, and hopefully you're going to find your true love in this lifetime. And there's a message here: actor. You might be someone really very creative. Actor, entertainer, dancer, and musician. So, wow, you could have been someone who has talents, and maybe music, acting, performing in the stage, but someone playing the piano here. You really have a beautiful connection with music. So this, maybe you are a musician, an actor, and a performer in your past lives. And a lot more messages in here that we're just trying to tap in, because I'm 100 right now. It's very interesting, pile 1, but maybe it's going to give you some kind of light of why certain things are happening in your life, or maybe you're trying to understand yourself, and maybe it's going to shed some light about yourself right now. Okay, so thank you. Let's go pile 3. Who are you in your past lives? Very interesting reading. I don't do this a lot, but today I really just felt called to just peruse around and then look. You could have been a woman in your past life with dark hair. Ooh, okay, so maybe you have dental problems or teeth problem or tooth gap in your past life. See, I tell you, you could have been someone with dark hair, exotic looks. What else? But I seen flower here, so, and scar. Wow, maybe you have been maybe in your past lives you had some kind of accident, because I could feel it, like maybe it kind of hurt you. Maybe you lost some teeth or have tooth gaps in your past life and have some scars. It's very interesting. So let's find out more. Who are you in your past life? World War age, becoming more natural, miscarried or died at birth, lost civilization, oppression, fanatical. And you could have been a lover. I think you went through some kind of poverty, or maybe in your past life you are born in an environment there's some kind of chaos there, and then you've been traumatized. And it kind of makes sense now, because the scar, and you might have been through like some battles and chaos or accidents in your past lives. Let's find out more. Does it say in here? It's saying in here spinster love as well. Fanatical faith. Yeah, you really went through trauma. I knew it. And the location, lost civilization. Wow. Maybe you belong into like an ancient civilization, ancient tribe. You could have been a carpenter, a builder, an architect, builder, construction, others. So, wow, maybe in this lifetime you are really gravitating to build things because there's carpentry, building, maybe architect, engineering, designing. So maybe in this lifetime you are really someone who's also like to build things and build something with your hands or your mind. Let's see. Crusades, power, hypothermia. So there's cold weather in here. Maybe you're someone who gets cold really easily because the hypothermia, or maybe you don't like swimming, maybe you don't know how to swim, or be careful swimming because you don't want to get hypothermia. And the saying in here, loss of status or reputation, your trauma, and then there's a location here, Oceania. So maybe the waters are really cold. Maybe you're also being a sailor. Oh, I can say if you're a pirate or something like that, but maybe you are someone who likes to be around the ocean. But let's see, mystical faith is saying in here, mystical faith and love affair. I mean, your status in love is saying in here, spinster love. Maybe you have been dating the wrong people even in the past. And then it's saying in here, affair in your love life. That meant maybe you went through some kind of third party situation. Maybe you were connecting with someone who wasn't available, or maybe you are someone who has been married and you fell in love with someone and it wasn't the right time. It's very interesting. Let's find out more. I'm just trying to see pro-earth, pre-earth, self-love, androgynous, true love. I think we saw this a while ago, but for some reason it's saying the stars as well. It's very interesting. Psychic wounding. And then what about saying in here, oh, explorer. You could have been an explorer in your past life, an adventurer, crusader, which I was already trying to say. Maybe you like the ocean and you could have been a sailor or a pirate. So it kind of makes sense in there, but you've been carrying some kind of wounds, trauma, and scars in your past. See, because I mean, there might be someone who abused you, or maybe you have the tendency to really be an abuser. Okay, so I don't want to be accusing you that, yeah, you abused someone or something, but maybe you have the tendency that because of your wounds and your scars, you're angry a lot. Maybe you are someone who suffers anxiety, being anxious and has mental health, and then you get angry a lot, or maybe you have some kind of personal issues that you need to work on yourself. Maybe you are someone who has emotional health or mental health problems, because it kind of saying in here, flying monkey, easy target, scapegoat. So there's some kind of escapism that you don't want to be dealing with, like stress. Like you are someone, it could be like you really gone through so much abuse and then now maybe you're carrying over this attitude right now that someone abused you, and then you really feel hurt and then you just shut down. Or wow. Okay, pile 2. See, because someone really bullied you and then it hurt you, or maybe you are someone like trying to get some kind of revenge now because you've been hurt in the past, and then now you're trying to be the bully. But anyway, if you are someone who's really traumatized right now, it's interesting because it's saying in here that you isolate yourself, you went hermit mode, Christian ascetic. Yeah, I really think that you try to find yourself, do some self-reflection, because some of you possibility when hermit mode, being a priest, a nun, or a monk. I don't know, maybe you've, or even if you're not a priest or a monk or a nun, I think you might be someone who lives clean lifestyle right now, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, prayer, meditation, contemplation, because this is what I could understand. I think you could have been a mystic as well. Maybe you've been traveling as well. Now it kind of makes sense because it's saying in here mystical faith. Maybe you practice mysticism in your past life. Mysticism is like you believe that there's some kind of higher power. Maybe you've experienced mystical, maybe you've had mystical experiences, or maybe you have UFO, like unexplainable supernatural experiences in your past life. So maybe it's going to carry over in this lifetime, that you might be someone trying to understand who are you, why have you been experiencing some kind of supernatural mystical experiences. Because you know, some people are really like sensitive to things that others will not experience. You know, maybe you are someone who is a psychic, clairvoyant, clairsentient. Maybe you can see, like, you know, it's like the veil is thinner. How do I even say this? I mean, you are someone who's very sensitive to otherworldly things. I really do think that you're someone feeling like you are different, because maybe this bully in here, like maybe you're feeling alienated and always out of place and feeling different. So pile 2, this is what I could understand. But if you are someone who is trying to understand your spiritual gifts right now, just know that keep going, like, because I think even in your past lives you're already trying to be exploring, trying to find some answers. You've been already like started on your spiritual journey. So keep going, pile 2. Okay, that's what I could understand. Pile moon, I want to ask, who are you in your past life? And this is very interesting reading, because I just feel curious, like what's going on. Maybe it's going to shed some light on who you are if you are trying to find some answers right now. In your past life, you could have been someone with square face and dark hair, as like looking younger than your age, or very youthful, or very young. I see a lot of feminine energies here, and animated eyes. It's saying in here animated eyes, someone with blonde hair, and average build. I don't know if this feels like a man, or is it like an LGBTQ. Maybe you are trying to search who you are. I don't know if you're bisexual or something or whatever, but anyway, these are just possibilities. It's saying in here square face, very young, animated eyes, and average build. Okay, so that's possibilities. But someone here wearing a white flower, so someone so pure. Let's go. Let's understand who you are in your past life. Saying in here betrayal, prophet-led. Are you in some kind of cult or something? Because it's saying here promiscuous love. Maybe you've had some kind of bad influences and peer pressure that you've kind of deviated in your path, because it's saying in here prophet-led. Maybe you were born in a family that believes in some kind of principle or something like cult-like. Anyway, let's see. Overcoming fear, public execution, and there's something in here saying Russia. So you could be, in your past life, you could be born in a location that's quite conservative and has strict belief systems. So something like that. Very interesting. And let's find out more. You could have been a mother. It's saying age of enlightenment. And also, I think you also experience war and has to make sacrifices. Polygamous. You know what? I was picking up that you could have been a nurse in the war. Maybe you volunteer in the first aid, or maybe you were living in a place, like in a house. Maybe your house was made into a hospital or something like that. I don't know. Like, I mean, it was so strange for me to even be seeing that. But let's see. Abuse of power, loss of power, position of authority, fame or recognition. But there's a message here that there was some kind of power struggle in your past lives. Either it's your environment, and then it really like affected you. But there is authority, but there was also loss of authority. So there's some kind of pull between power and losing your power or gaining power. So it's like on and off, on and off. It's very interesting. And then there's some sword in here, but I can see that, you know, maybe the power struggles also meant you were in the war zone. In your past lives, you were in the middle of the war zone. So that's why I was also picking up, like maybe you could have been a soldier in the war who get wounded, or you could be someone who's a nurse who was tending into, who was helping like the wounded soldiers. So what else can I? Academic. So you're very smart. Instruction, master, teacher, mentor. Wow. Seems like a scientist, mathematician. Maybe you're great in mathematics. I do hate numbers, but maybe you like numbers. You're good in physics, you're good in mathematics. Why? Because I guess you're very smart in your past life. You're a teacher, a master, a researcher, an educator, a mentor. Let's see. You could have been a male, early Stone Age, hubris. What is it? Animal attack. There's some kind of ego and power struggle. Jungle. Nature-based faith. Possessive love. Accident. So I think you are someone who really need to survive. Whichever past life like you've been through, I think like you need to survive in the jungle, survive in the war. It's interesting. Hobbyist, model, professional, collector, artist. So you are someone possibility like really looking like a model right now. Maybe you are someone, even if you could not be a model or an actor, you could have an artistic eye. Maybe you like to take photos, or you like to do crafts or hobbies or interests. Or you could look like a model or an actor. Maybe you have beautiful looks. Maybe you are someone who's very attractive. Maybe you know it or you don't know it, but I think you have it in you. You have the talent to be an artist. You have the look. You have the it factor to be an artist or to be an actor. So you'll never know, because that's what I could understand here. Like, I mean, it's saying in here, you could look like a model or an actor. It's interesting. But I am picking up like there's some kind of smart person here. You could be really, really smart. Agnostic, mental illness, trauma, Southern Europe, locations, forgiveness lesson, early Middle Ages, guru or idol, separated by distance. So anyway, I think you could be someone who's really trying to find God or trying to understand God. You're not so religious or spiritual in your past life, because that's what it meant by the agnostic. Maybe you're someone who's quite open with spirituality. Wow. And then it's saying in here that suicide. But anyway, I think there's some kind of message here in your past life that you were suffering from mental health, PTSD, like post-traumatic syndrome. Like if you are a soldier who went to war, maybe you've experienced PTSD or mental health, emotional health, personal struggles like this. So maybe that would shed some light. While, you know, if you're really prone to panic attacks and some kind of mental health, anxieties, PTSD right now, maybe this could mean that you were carrying over some kind of karmic lessons from the past, your karmic experience. And what about this one? Cowboy, other, Wild West, settler, indigenous person. So maybe you belong to the native tribe. It's saying in here cowboy as well. So the Wild West. Wow. That's interesting time. The Wild West. I can say if it's a Victorian era or whatever, but you'll never know. But anyway, it's saying here, it's like there's some ranches and horses. The Wild West. Let's see. World War age, becoming more natural, miscarried or died at birth, lost civilization, oppression, trauma. Yes, we already know that. Spinster, love, lover, identity. It's very interesting, but all I can say right now is like whatever you have gone through, a lot of betrayal and trauma and wrong belief system, wrong teachings. So maybe you are someone who is trying to find like the right answers, and maybe like you're trying to correct the mistakes in the past, and now you've been teaching, maybe even in your past lives, you're trying to correct your mistakes or wrong belief systems, or maybe that's your struggle right now to get away or to remove negative karmic pattern or wrong belief systems in your life. So this is very deep right now, but all I can tell you, maybe you are someone who traveled like along, because it's saying in here settlers, so you could, maybe your ancestors or you were travelers like gypsies or like native or whatever, and maybe your family owns land. But I could sense like some kind of traveling in your energy. I guess in your past lives as well, you were a traveler. So maybe in your current timeline, like right now, maybe you have that like travel bug inside of you right now, like you're an adventurer, like you want to like discover new places, or maybe you could be someone who like people think like you're very attractive, like you could look like a model or an artist, or you are someone who possibly pursued teaching, or maybe you are someone who has high degree in your studies right now, like PhD or masteral. And what else is saying in here? Academic. Yeah, you are really very smart. So something about school. and a professional collector, hobbyist, model, artist. So this is just interesting. And let me see what's in here. Wealthy elite, reign of terror, proletariat, war or uprising. So that kind of makes sense. Revolution, maybe this is the reason why there was some kind of power struggle here. And then you came from a wealthy family, so that kind of makes sense that if you live in a big house, a villa, a manor, a mansion, maybe your house became an hospital or a shelter or resting place for all these wounded in the war, or it's like an evacuation house. And then you volunteer as a first aid or as a nurse or as a doctor, or someone like really want to help others. I don't know, like I feel like that's what I could understand right now. And then maybe it kind of bothered you. I don't want to say that in your past lives maybe you went into a mental institution and mental asylum. I don't know, it's your past lives anyway. I mean, I am just checking like possibilities right now, but I all I can say is we might not understand everything, but this is just really interesting if it really does resonate with you. It's message in here: greed, ignorance, corruption, fall of civilization, indulgence. So you come from a wealthy family, and then there was some kind of power struggle and wrong use of power, and definitely there's some kind of chaos here to restore and to keep what you have, because the greed is like maybe you're trying to keep your wealth, keep wanting to stay in power. But whatever the case, I could still see that maybe in this lifetime, maybe you are someone who really is used to luxury, money and wealth, or maybe you are someone really magnetic to money and wealth, or even if you do not have money and wealth, then it feels like you really gravitate to expensive stuff. Maybe you have the looks of a model or an actor and really wants to read or study, or you are very smart. So anyway, that's what I could understand, Peltry. I am 100 right now, so I can only try, but these energies in here are so interesting. You really went through like this phase in your past life, like you've witnessed the era of wealth, the era of losing it, and then like really got affected with all these power struggles right now. And whichever the case, maybe it's going to shed some light in your current situation. If you are someone who's trying to find answers about yourself right now, maybe you were carrying over some kind of attitude, looks, description, I don't know. These are just possibilities. Like I said, this is just something that is like an impromptu that I want to check. Anyway, we can learn again, but it's just something that I just want to see, and I hope you find it interesting. And it's very sticky and very humid outside. Hopefully you're trying to survive this summer, Soul Tribe. And if you are like someone in the beach or like in the park, stay cool, stay hydrated, and we'll learn again. And I love you guys. Bye for now.